Hi everybody, this is Steve Ludwig, host of Steve Ludwig's Classic Pop Culture and the Beatles Hour with Steve Ludwig at PlanetLudwig.com. Here's an interview we did with Terry Sylvester of the Hollies on October 23rd, 2013, show number 12. To hear the entire show, complete with music, check out the menu at PlanetLudwig.com. And now, please enjoy the interview. The beautiful, spacey, To No One in Paradise lead singer, our next guest. In addition to his numerous platinum, gold, silver awards, he is only one of 5 Liverpudlians to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. John, Paul, George, Ringo, and our guest, Mr. Terry Sylvester. Terry, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me. And what so nice to hear that beautiful Alan Parsons project song. You know, a lot of people don't play that enough. You know, I'd love to hear that more. It's such a beautiful song.
It's a beautiful song and a beautiful vocal. I mean, Terry, your voice is so distinctive. I mean, did you practice? Did you take singing in school, or how did you become interested in music? First of all, let's start it from the beginning.
Well, actually, if you really want to go back, I was a professional musician at 4 years old. I was in the church choir getting paid for doing weddings.
Wow, I see. Wow.
But thankfully, in those days, I didn't have to pay tax. Unfortunately, they caught up with me eventually.
My goodness, the tax in England. I mean, your fellow rock and roll Liverpudlian, George, wrote about it in Taxman. I mean, how was it growing up in Liverpool?
Well, there's all sorts of stories. You know, I read these books, and people have very, very incredible memories for things that aren't true. You know, it wasn't the greatest place. I mean, don't forget, you know, we were this, you know, the so-called baby boomers, which I suppose we all are, you know, from that era.
Sure.
You know, I mean, Liverpool in the Second World War was bombed really, really badly because it was a seaport that used to obviously, go over to North America and bring people in, bring people out. And in other words, it was a target. And so a lot of these bombs missed what they were trying to bomb, and they were bombing houses. So
well, yeah.
We were, you know, where I was originally raised, but, you know, the house next door wasn't there. It had been bombed.
Oh, my goodness. Boy. Terry, of course, before the Hollies, of course, you were in the Escorts and the Swinging Blue Jeans, and you played the legendary Cavern Club. May I ask you a weird question, but something that's always been on my mind about the Cavern, being you're an expert. Don't take this wrong. What did it smell like? I'm trying to get a sense of my senses. Was it as musty and dank as we read about in books? What are your recollections of the Cavern?
It smelt of cleaning. The women cleaners used to come in the morning because there was, you know, being a bit sexist there was no such thing as a man cleaner in those days.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yes, sure.
They'd come in with their mop, and they would basically use disinfectant to clean the place out, and it stunk of disinfectant.
I suppose what it covered up probably was a little better, but that I could definitely get a sense of what it felt. And what was it like to be in it physically? Claustrophobic?
It wasn't the cleverest. And you know what? It's quite weird, because I actually do suffer a little bit from being claustrophobic. And I can't believe the times I went down that Cavern Club. There was only one entrance and one exit, and that was the same door. Now, you know, there was one dressing room. All of us would be the Beatles, everybody, Jerry and the Pacemakers, Billy J. All of us would be just stuck in that dressing room. And it never dawned on me when, in those days, in the 60s, how claustrophobic it was. But now the thought of it, it really scares me, because I can't believe what it was. There was no back entrance. There was no stage door. or anything. You walked in with the crowd, and in those days we didn't have road managers and all that. We were carrying our amps and carrying our guitars and everything. It was quite interesting, to say the least. But you know what? All that talent that came out of there and ended up, especially in North America,
Right.
The British invasion, which of course next year is being celebrated, as you obviously know. The Beatles doing the Ed Sullivan Show,
Absolutely.
which certainly changed my life and changed all the guys' lives. We were only in it for a couple of years, we thought.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't think we'd be still singing silly love songs at 66.
Young 66. Terry, I had the pleasure with my two brothers, Bill and Tom, of seeing you a couple years ago in concert. And your voice is as gorgeous and as pristine as it has always been. What's it like to still be performing? Silly question, but how does it feel to still be performing and so vibrant today?
Well, to be honest, that's the whole reason for getting in this business, was basically to just be on stage and sing. I mean, there was never my first group, the Escorts.
Yes.
We were only 16, and we never thought we'd ever make a record. We didn't do it for that. I mean, we were playing, youth clubs, places, British Legion places. I mean, we were just playing, but there was never, we never thought we'd be like the Everly Brothers and have a record.
Mm-hmm.
There was no chance of that. And in fact, I spoke to Paul McCartney and George a lot about this. None of us ever thought we'd ever get to that stage where we'd be making records. That's something we wanted to do, but it was so far away from us. Well, all we wanted to do was jump on stage and sing, and obviously meet girls.
Yes. You brought up Paul and George. I mean, my many. I'm a Beatle maniac, and I guess most of us are. What are your recollections, just quickly, of John, Paul, George? I guess, was it Pete Best or Ringo when you were at the Cavern?
It was both. Yeah, both.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, Pete. Funny enough, I know Pete quite well since those days, because he sometimes comes over and does shows over in Canada and the US. Right. And I often do shows with him. He's a lovely fella. But yeah, I mean, what can you say? What's happened since is just ridiculous. I can't. I find it hard to put into words. But we never, none of us ever really thought we would be going more than 2-3 years, and then it'd be like back to work type thing.
Right. Did you have this pretty much the feeling of other Liverpudlians? If we get to London, we have made it, and that's as far as we're getting. Was that your big goal, to play in London?
It's funny you should say that, because London and Liverpool, it's too. London, for folks who maybe don't know the situation there, London and Liverpool are 230 miles apart, and obviously London's in the south and the southeast, and Liverpool's in the northwest. Now, to get to London, the Beatles, as soon as they made their first record and got a hit, they all cleared off and went to live in London, because that you see, what you got to remember is the BBC, which basically was the only game in town as far as radio was concerned in those days. They were based in London and still are, but now they've got lots of studios dotted around all over. But Liverpool never had its own radio station until 1971. There was no radio station in Liverpool.
Mm.
So we had to go to London to sing on the BBC. But yeah, I mean, London was, and as soon as we can jump a little bit here. In 1968, as soon as I joined the Hollies, I got out of Liverpool and went to live in London as soon as possible.
I was going to ask, and first of all, Terry, thank you so much for talking about the Beatles, but I really want to just talk about you and your career. I was going to ask you, when you moved out of Liverpool, 68, when you joined the Hollies, who contacted you to join the Hollies when Graham Nash went on to Crosby, Stills and Nash?
Well, you see, I knew the Hollies anyway. We shared the love of the Everly Brothers very much. The Hollies and the Escorts, both of us shared the love of the Evs. And back in 1965, when I was in the Escorts, I was in Germany. I was in Munich with the Escorts. We were doing a month. We had a month's residency, which was fabulous to get, in August, summer, open air swimming pool, German girls. Let's not go there. But the Hollies came out.
You can go there, Terry, if you like.
The Hollies came out to do 3 days. The guy who booked the club also booked the Hollies to do a concert at a place called the Circus Krone, it was called. It's still there, I believe, in Munich. It's like a theatre in the round type thing. But anyway, and I think the reason it's called a Circus Krone is they used to have elephants, giraffes, and things on stage. But anyway, they came out in the middle of our residency. We were there a month, and they came out after about 2 weeks. And the guy who booked them got really lucky because they had a #1 hit all around the world at the time with a song called I'm Alive. And, of course, the Circus Krone was absolutely packed that night. I suppose a couple of thousand. We're not talking 20, 30, though. We're talking a couple of thousand. Mm-hmm. And we opened for them, and we knew them. And then they also played the club that we did, which was called the Hit House, in a place called Schwabing, which is still a cool place. And I've been there since. It's still a very cool part of Munich. And Munich is just one of the great cities, Anyway, we had absolutely no money. We were just living off. Basically, we were living off the girls we met because we didn't have any. We were going back to their homes, having dinner with, and the thing was with their families, and I couldn't speak a word in German, and of course the Germans couldn't speak a word of thing. So it was ja, nein, ja, nein. The point was, I really connected with the guys in the Hollies, Tony, Alan, and Graham, and Bobby, and we had fun. And we, once the Escorts had done their set at the end of the night, the Hollies would jump up and we'd all sing Everly Brothers songs for an hour. Mm-hmm. And I think what happened was when Graham, which was big news at the time, he decided he wanted to leave and go and live in America, and get together with Joni Mitchell and Stills and whatever, Crosby. They thought they were done. They actually thought they were finished, and apparently they had a meeting at their management office, and they basically, Graham said, "Look, I'm leaving, and that's it. Let's do the business." And then he walked out, and somebody said, "Well, what are we going to do?" And apparently Bobby Elliott said, "What about Terry Sylvester?"
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, and that was my biggest break that's ever happened to me, and I'll never forget it. To join. First of all, I love the Hollies. By the way, I didn't have to rehearse anything with them. I could have gone on stage with the Hollies at any time.
That's how big of a fan you were, right? Yeah.
Of course, I was a fan. Yeah, the Hollies, fabulous.
Terry, you said that it was your biggest break. You know what, Terry? Thanks to you, the Hollies stayed around and made those other hits. Now, I'm sure Hollies fans know this, but in the early 70s, Alan Clark, the lead singer, took leave of absence, and it was all on your shoulders to take over his vocals. And Terry, as a fan, I think if it weren't for you in that early part of the 70s, the Hollies never would have continued. So if I may speak for the other fans, thank you for all you added to the Hollies, first of all.
Well, yeah, I mean, thank you for that. He actually left, to be honest. I was sometimes scared to answer the phone. I mean, obviously we didn't have, the thing was, where you can see who's calling in those days. But Alan left 3 times officially, but he was forever leaving. He had a couple of managers who were basically dimwits, who said basically that, you don't need them. You're the voice. You don't need those guys. You don't need the Hollies. So he kept on leaving. And of course, he couldn't get a solo hit. And because people wanted, it's like Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger can't get a hit record to save his life, but put him with the Rolling Stones, and he'll be selling 50,000 tickets a night.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more on that. Terry, now, I mean, like I mentioned, my brothers and I had seen you playing actually at Hippie Fest. Now, you do both an acoustic solo show and live with your backup band. Is there one you prefer to do, one type of show? Do you prefer acoustic solo or?
Oh, no, I hate acoustic solo.
Really? My.
The only time I'll do that is like my good friend Peter Noon from Herman's Hermits. He sometimes has. He just wants, or the promoter just wants someone to just do a 20-minute spot before Peter comes on, and I will just go on there and sing Carrie Ann, Just One Look, The Air That I Breathe, Long Cool Woman, He Ain't Heavy, Clear Off, and let Peter come and take over, and then I'll sit at the side watching Peter. But I really do prefer a band. I think the Hollies, we were a harmony. I mean, the songs, we were a harmony group, band, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, we really do need harmonies. And yes, I can sing these beautiful songs solo, but it's much better when you've got a band. And I do prefer that, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Terry, you just mentioned those 4 songs you do on acoustic, for instance. But, boy, you went through those songs like they were 4 songs. But, Terry, they are classics. And to hear you sing them live. And what I also appreciate, if you don't mind me saying, is that you do pre-Terry Sylvester Hollies songs, too. So as a fan, I also want to thank you for keeping that part of the Hollies alive in your shows.
Oh, yeah. I don't have a problem doing Carrie Ann and doing Just One Look and doing Bus Stop because, well, first of all, I have every right.
Absolutely.
Because we had a live album that we recorded in New Zealand back in 1975, where we basically just sang the hits. Even though I will say it myself, and I will say it myself, it's one of the best live albums ever. And we didn't mess around with it. We had to tweak a couple of little things. We had we were in Christchurch in New Zealand for 5 shows. Sell-out shows, 5 nights, and we had EMI New Zealand brought over. They had to bring it on. They had to bring it on a boat from the North Island to the South.
Oh my goodness!
They had all this equipment, and it was absolute. Anyway, two of the nights we played, we had a phantom whistler who was whistling.
Oh gosh!
Through all the blinking songs, so we some of the songs we couldn't use, so we fiddled around with that a little bit, but it really is the genuine article, and yeah, of course, it's the Long Cool Woman. Mind you, Long Cool Woman is quite funny. It's twice the speed of sound on the live album. Yeah, because we got a bit excited,
Do you find yourself playing songs faster live than we would be used to on the studio? Is that quite common, or was it just unusual for that?
I think the adrenaline kicks in a little bit. Yeah, I normally count the songs in because I'm the one that knows the song, so the band. But it's funny, I was up in Pennsylvania at the weekend doing 3 shows. I had a wonderful time up there. The weather was nice. The trees were turning, and we played to 3, sold out shows, and it was wonderful. But you're right. I said to the band at the sound check, I said, look, I tend to get a bit excited when I'm on stage, and I'll try and count them in. But you know what? Long Cool Woman was still twice the speed of sound.
Regardless, right?
It's just the way it is.
You mentioned the weekend shows. Was 1 or 2 of those shows was a tribute show or tribute for Sonny Girassi?
No,
is that?
That's coming up. That's coming up in 3 weeks, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's in Streetsville, Ohio. Mm-hmm. And I do have the date somewhere, actually.
I know. I was going to
We
say,
might as well
Terry.
do a little bit of plugging while we're
No,
here. You know?
no, we're definitely going to do that. I know on terrysylvester.com you have your
Well, yeah,
upcoming shows.
my website was down for a few days. Somebody hacked my website.
Ay, ay, ay.
And I just hope the person that did it is very careful what he wishes for, because I've got a little dummy of him, and I've been sticking pins in him. So anyway,
Stick one in for me too, please.
yeah, thank you. Oh, that's 2 pins now. Okay. Uh, 15th, Friday the 15th of November, Saturday the 16th of November, Streetsboro, Ohio, at the, well, I say Z, but it's not that, it's Z, the Z-Plex, and it's a big show for Sonny Geraci, who has been sick, the guy from The Outsiders, and sick.
Climax too, as well, I believe. Right?
But there's lots of people. Gary Lewis is going to be there. Joey Mullen for Badfinger is going to be there. Pat Upton. There are just so many people. Dennis Stefano, I mean, it's going to be incredible. And we're doing it. We're all doing it because we love the guy. Sonny's such a great guy. And he was struck down with this, I don't even know what it is. You got to go to sonnygeraci.com, but he had an attack on his brain, which is like a 1 in 2 million situation. And he's not walked for 18 months. So, but anyway, we're all going there. Apparently, he is going to be there. He may well.
Oh, that's great.
He is going to be there. He's going to be with us. Now, I have to tell you, I got in the post today the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame list for next year's nominees.
I saw your tweet. I did read your tweet. Tell us about.
I get to vote. You see, because I'm in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, just in case I haven't mentioned it 4 times.
Deservedly so. Very deservedly so, I might add.
Yeah, but it took a lot. Anyway, whatever. I'm very proud of that. For a musician, there is no higher honor. There is no higher honor than to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, okay, maybe the Queen one day will want to knight me, but that's not.
No, Terry, it's not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Okay, so we have nominees. Each person who's in, we all get 5 votes type thing. I don't know some of the people who are in nominee. Do you want me to read the list? It's quite long. Are you okay with it?
Absolutely.
Okay. This could be a bit of I don't know whether it's even in the newspapers yet, but anyway, I obviously don't remember this by memory. I've got it written. The Paul Butterfield, start again. Paul Butterfield Blues Band. No comments until we finish. Chic, Deep Purple, Peter Gabriel, Hall & Oates, Kiss, LL Cool J, The Meters, Nirvana, NWA, The Replacements, Linda Ronstadt, Cat Stevens, Link Ray, Yes, and The Zombies.
I have a couple. Well, who of those, Terry? Who would you like to? Can you tell us? Give us.
I've already decided what my 5. Well, you know what? My 2 definitely Cat Stevens, because he's a friend of mine, and I sang backup on his last CD he made. I sang backup. He's a genius. People get the wrong impression about Cat Stevens, or what, as he calls himself, Yusuf Islam. They get the wrong impression. He's not what the press have made him out to be. He is a very talented guy, and the trouble is he kind of came out with his religious beliefs, which is a big mistake, because I believe, and to me that's totally private. You'll never know what my religious beliefs are, because I don't talk about it. It's nothing to do with anybody else. It's my business. And whether I am religious or not, it's of no interest to anybody.
Yeah, I think it's polarizing, religion and politics, don't you think?
Oh, it's just ridiculous. I mean, anyway.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Yeah, Cat Stevens.
No, he's a great guy, and obviously he's Yusuf Islam now, and he's Muslim and all that. But you know what? When I'm with him, we don't talk religion, and I don't talk religion to anybody. It's none of anybody's business. I talk music and sports. That's what I talk. Anyway, I'm definitely voting for the Zombies. I think that's about time.
Excellent.
And Cat Stevens, definitely. Probably Linda Ronstadt. Probably yes. And I like Hall & Oates, but I also like Peter Gabriel. But I think Peter Gabriel might already be in, you know. He may be in as a member of Genesis, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So maybe he doesn't need to be in it twice. So maybe I'll ignore him. But who are the replacements? That's what I want to know.
They're kind of a reggae type group.
Yeah, but some of these people never had a hit record. I thought you had to have a hit record.
I heard Deep Purple in there, Terry.
Deep Purple on there. I'm not really into that type of music, though, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I could just go all Brit, couldn't I? But that would be too obvious. Anyway, I digress. Press on.
No. Well, you know, may I ask you a question about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? You mentioned Peter Noone, and I am a first-generation Hollies, Beatles, Herman's Hermits fan. In all probability, Herman's Hermits or Peter Noone will never be elected into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Why not? Because they're too pop? Yeah,
you're dead right. It's like saying, will Freddie and the Dreamers be in?
Yeah.
Well, obviously not. Sure, I don't know. I don't know who. I don't know who makes the decisions for the nominees, but the votes are you know, basically the people in vote. But
I mean, the Dave Clark Five are in, which is nice.
They did get in, didn't they?
Yeah.
But I think Mike Smith had passed away, hadn't he? That was sad. He passed away the year. I think they went in the year before I did, and Mike Smith wasn't there.
He missed it. What a shame. He missed it by a year, but I mean, posthumously. Terry,
the Dave Clark Five were. It's funny. What's the difference between the Dave Clark Five and Herman's Hermits? Not a lot.
I know.
That's what I mean. Pete Peters a little bit vaudeville for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I hope one day he does. You know.
Terry,
I'm here.
Okay, we are here. What was it like working with Alan Parsons?
Oh, well, it's interesting because Alan, the first ever time he came in as an engineer, a tape operator type thing at Abbey Road Studios, and his first day at work, he came into our studio and he was working there as a tape operator. And, you know, he was all fingers and thumbs and didn't know what day it was. But, you know, in those days, this was the order of situation at Abbey Road. This is in the days way before, you know, John Lennon decided, you know, I don't want to go home at 10 o'clock at night. I want to start recording at 10 o'clock at night. You know, I mean, this was run by unions. So, anyway, Alan came in 10 o'clock in the morning till 1. Then we all broke for lunch. Didn't matter what we were doing. You had to stop. Then, and you come back at 2, and then you go from 2 till 5. And then you break. And then you come back from 7 till 10, and then you clear off home. I mean, that was the way it was. Now, Alan came in at 10. Obviously, we had a morning session where we were doing something, overdubs or something or other. And then there was a pub. It's still there, actually, just around the corner. And we all used to go to the pub for lunch. You know, maybe have a drink, maybe have a sandwich or whatever the heck he did. And Alan was standing there because he's quite tall. You know, he was quite gangly. He's about 6'6", and he was just standing there, didn't know what to do. And we said, "Come on, you're coming with us. Come on, Alan. We'll take you for lunch. Come on." So we went down the pub. Anyway, he writes about that. He said how wonderful it was that we included him. We didn't just ignore him and say, you know, he's just a tape op. Ignore him. He was part of the plan, you know, and we walked around and we found... Anyway, we worked for years, and Alan did some of my solo work. And in fact, I spoke to him only 2 days ago. You know, he's out in Santa Barbara. And but no, we were very. Hey, listen, we're northern lads in England. We're northern lads. We're not Philly big times. We're not like that. And we invited Alan down the pub. It would have been anybody. A tape op, doesn't matter who you are, you're coming down with us. And of course, he loved it, and he never forgot it actually, and he still tells the story.
Terry, okay, good, because I want to let our listeners know that many of them, of course, all of them know you from the Hollies, but you had such a great solo career. You've written songs for some really, really wonderful singers. One of my favorite singers, and you wrote the song, he covered your song, Indian Girl, is Denny Doherty, the late Denny Doherty from the Mamas and the Papas. Could you just tell us briefly what are your recollections of Denny Doherty?
Well, I think the Mamas and the Papas are kind of broken up. And we're probably talking about the 70s now.
Right.
And Denny was making a solo, maybe it was an album, maybe he was just recording with legendary producer Jack Gold. And he heard, Jack Gold heard Indian Girl, the song I wrote, and liked it. So, and it just so happened that the Hollies were in Los Angeles the week that he was recording. So I managed to go in the studio and watch him record the song, which was nice. But it wasn't a hit. But, it's funny. Years later, back in 1997, I lived in a place called Mississauga, which is just west of Toronto in Canada. Mm-hmm. And would you believe, Denny Doherty also lived in Mississauga because he is Canadian.
Mm-hmm. Boy, talk about coincidence.
He's passed away now, sadly.
Yeah.
So I hooked up with him. I went to his house. He came to my place, and it was just ridiculous how first time I met him was in LA as he's recording Indian Girl. Second time I meet him, he lives a mile away from where I live. And he was a lovely fella. And then he had a radio show for a while. He had a radio show, and he did a special on the Hollies. And I went into Toronto to record it with him. And he was lovely. Sadly, he passed away. And I know I was away when they had the funeral or whatever it is. And I know that all the living Mamas and the Papas, including, Michelle Phillips and everything, they all came out. They all came. They came there. But I missed out on that because I was out of town.
In spirit, I know you were there. Terry, you're such a wonderful songwriter. Is there a song that you could? I know they're all your babies, all your songs, but is there a song that one or two songs that say, you know what, I love this song that I wrote? Is there one that stands out? Tough question, right? I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, on my own, there's a couple of songs, but I think the best song I've ever been involved writing is a Hollies song that I wrote with Alan Clark and Tony Hicks. We used to meet up in either or. We used to meet up. Our manager, we had a wonderful manager. The Hollies had a wonderful manager. His name was Robin Britton, and he was honest. And you know what? There's not many managers in the rock world who were honest. He set us up for life. He was wonderful. But he had an office in a Muse house, not far from Buckingham Palace down in London. And what we would do, because obviously, we were young, we were married, we had young children, going to school. We needed to get out. We couldn't get together and write songs in our homes because there's too many distractions. So we used to go down to Robin's place, and we would just meet at, say, 11 o'clock in the morning, and then we would write until, we would just sit, any ideas, oh yeah, I was thinking on the way down, I was thinking about this girl I dated once, what, I really liked her, let's write about her, stupid things. Sometimes we get there at 11 o'clock in the morning, Tony, Alan, and me. We all had beautiful flashy sports cars. And we'd park the car, seriously. We'd get there and we'd have a cup of coffee or whatever, and then we'd sit there. We'd look at each other, and none of us fancied it. We'd all just go home. We'd just say, I've got no idea what we're going to do today. I don't think I want to do this. But there's one song we wrote together. I don't know. I know you like the Hollies, but I can't remember what album it was on. But the song's called "Hello to Romance," and it is just, to me, it's just the best one I've been involved. I love it. It was never a hit. It was never a hit. But it doesn't matter. It was just fab. And my solo stuff, I wrote a song on my own, totally on my own, which I recorded with the Hollies and as a solo, called Cable Car.
Oh, yes.
I love that. That's my favorite for that. But Hello to Romance is one heck of a song. Heck of a song.
What was it like, Terry? I mean, being adored by millions and millions and being a dad at the same time. It must have been difficult to juggle that.
Well, unfortunately, you've hit on, it's like saying to me, do you have any regrets? Well, I don't, but unfortunately, 2 failed marriages are my regrets. No, listen, it doesn't matter. I'm single, I'm happy, but, I think the way the business is and the way 2 failed marriages behind me. I'm not proud of that, unfortunately. I've got 4 lovely children. 3 I speak to, 1 I don't. But that's okay. I've got a daughter. Who's 17, and hopefully one day, we can hook up. But I've not seen her since she was 2, so that's a little bit sad. But
Terry, let me place my other foot in my mouth, by the way. I'm sorry I brought that up.
Oh, no, don't worry about it. No,
okay. I
like that question because everyone talks about the good side. There is the bad side. And it's okay. I mean, you can't have everything in life. And I've had a tremendous, I'm touching wood. If it all stopped tomorrow, I've had more than most. And it's wonderful. And I've toured the world. I've been to places I just dreamt about when I was a kid growing up, and I'm actually going there and singing. And I meet such, I meet such lovely people. I did a show the other night, and there was a kid, I don't know, 18, 19, 20, I don't know. He was in a wheelchair. And he came up. I always do a meet and greet after shows, and CDs and.
Oh, that's great.
And I just shake it. These days, it's all, photo, the phone, the cell phone camera. It's all that, isn't it?
Yes.
But this kid was, obviously not in the greatest of shape, and his dad said, can we have a photograph taken? To be honest, I didn't have a problem. I got down I just came round. I was behind a booth type thing. I just got down on the floor and just basically sat with him for a while, put my arm around him. And I felt good. I felt good doing it because for the grace of God go I,
Think about how great you made that kid feel too.
Oh, no, he loved it. He was good. He kept saying, he was funny. He kept saying, I love your accent. That's what he said. I love your accent. I said, I don't have an accent. No, but, I'm just giving you something that happened this week. But I do, and I'm blessed. I am totally blessed with, I was obviously given a talent, of which I used. A lot of people don't use their talent, and that is, I wouldn't say it's unforgivable. They don't get the opportunity, but it took me a while to make it. It took me a good 5 years from my first group to actually get a hit record. But it happened, and as I said, I'm blessed. I'm very lucky, and I say the Lord's Prayer every morning. I tell you.
Yeah, well, we're so lucky, Terry, that you're in our musical lives, and I want to thank you for being with us. But before I say goodbye, I want to thank our mutual friend for setting this up, Debbie Aiton.
I knew you were going to mention her. And she is gorgeous. If I was 30 years younger, I'd be chasing her all the way to New Jersey.
30 schmurdy, Terry. Come on, forget about age.
No, go on. Do you want to mention her name or not?
Yes, sure. Deb Aiton.
She's gorgeous. Lovely.
She's just and such a gorgeous person as well, inside and out. And I want to thank Debbie very much for setting this up for me. And it's terrysylvester.com. Terry, may I give your Twitter name out as well?
I'm on Twitter. Yeah, I just pontificate like crazy. The good thing about Twitter is I can say what I want and nobody answers me.
No, I don't know about that. Hopefully after this they will, and if they do, it's got to be a short answer anyway. But
that's true. It's true. No, I like Twitter. I don't have the Facebook thing. I've got my website and Facebook and you thing, and there's so many of these things. I just like the Twitter because I just say things, and sometimes people get a bit annoyed because I say stuff, but I don't go too. I'm not too controversial, but I just it comes from the heart. But yeah, I've got the website. But as I said, I had a bit of a problem with it, but it's all up and running and everything's fine.
And I know your Twitter name is at Terry_Sylvester, right? And I follow Terry on Twitter, and you do speak your mind, and it's really appreciated. And Terry, I really want to thank you so much. I mean, when I spoke with Deb, she said, you're going to love talking to Terry. He's one of the greatest guys around. And Terry, you're so down to earth, and you were so forthcoming with us. And I want to thank you so much for being on the show with us tonight.
Well, thanks for having me out there, and you're doing a great job. I know you got my best interests at heart. I can feel that, and thank you for that. And as I said, tomorrow's the first day of the rest of your life.
That's right, Terry. And it's thank you so much for all the music and all the continued music you're going to give us, and thanks for being with us.
Okay, Steve. It was a pleasure chatting to you.
Our pleasure. All the best. Bye, Terry.
Bye.